Iowa Big is a high school experience in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where we've taken a chance on rethinking some of the classic elements of a high school education. I'd like to take a minute to talk about those changes. The first is the textbook. At Iowa Big, we rarely use textbooks and they are replaced with partners. Partners are anyone living and working in Cedar Rapids that has a meaningful project or meaningful work for students to spend their time on. These projects range from helping nonprofits to helping figure out solutions for business to working with government agencies on PR and rollouts. We really think of our community as our textbook, and we think of the people living in our community as true partners in our education. Instead of delivering content through lectures, Iowa Big teachers use a seminar structure to deliver the content that isn't covered by our partners or through our projects. We often call this spackling the holes in our standards, and we think of it very similar to how university classes are offered. Students meet with a teacher to talk specifically about standards in, say, physics or statistics or English, one, two, or three times a week, depending on the needs of the student and the course. And those courses meet for an hour or two, very similar to a college-style course. Those seminars are led in a Socratic dialogue that is often a discussion of the big ideas and the applicability of the standards. A big change for high school students is that these courses do not meet every day, and that fits the Iowa Big model because it allows students to really think about the big ideas held within each of those seminars until they see that teacher again to follow through with the next piece of content. The third change that Iowa Big made was to think about the usage of points. Instead of points, we have something that we lovingly call weight rooms, which is a subtle joke on the idea that this is where students often do their academic lifting. Instead of a running total of points that can often feel like a merry-go-round that goes on and on forever when you're not quite sure when you're ever going to get off or what 100% might equal, we use a system that is much more similar to a brake inspection or a car inspection. Our students are told the standards that they're to meet at the beginning of the semester, and they're allowed to provide evidence from their project work, from their seminar work, from their internships, from their jobs, and from their life to create a portfolio of work that shows proficiency with the standard and the rigor associated with being able to apply that standard outside of the classroom in a context that is something above doing a worksheet or a packet. The teachers then track the accumulation of those standards in a binary way, where it is assumed that a standard that has been met at an A level, and a standard that hasn't been met is being attempted by the student. Iowa Big does not have class periods. This is a major change for most high school students. We instead replace most of that time with working on projects. And at Iowa Big, a project is not simply finishing a packet or doing a poster. A project is a partnership with one of our partners that is co-created by the partner and the student to meet the academic and life goals of the student, as well as the business or nonprofit needs of the partner. The student is largely in control of how they spend their time and how they use their energy on this project. Students are encouraged to use several management strategies that are employed in business, such as Kanbans, Agile, and Scrum. And students are given a very large menu of things to schedule during their week: project planning meetings, project retrospectives, project work sessions, partner check-ins, lunch, all sorts of awesome things that the student can do. So the major difference at Iowa Big is that we don't have bells or classes, but we do have items for each project that need to be planned each week according to that project's needs and that student's schedule. We hope that you're interested in diving into this, as projects are the key and major component to creating a really important, unique story for you as you enter your Iowa Big experience. The typical schedule of an Iowa Big student is anything but repetitive. What you're seeing now is the schedule of a student who's partnered with a local hospital. They've been assigned by a maker nurse to look into adaptations for toys for young patients who have physical disabilities. And specifically, this student has been asked to identify the toys, modify them so that a specific disability will be able to use them, and then teach parents how to implement a kit or a certain kind of procedure for making such toys cheap and accessible. This student spends their morning at their mothership, which is what we lovingly call Kennedy, Jefferson, Washington Metro, and Prairie. They go to lifting in the morning, and then they go to periods 1 through 3 in a traditional classroom setting. After lunch, they transition to Iowa Big, where their schedule is anything but normal. Each day, the student determines the best way to spend their time from the menu of things that happen at Iowa Big. On some days, they have work sessions where they're in the lab, hacking apart their toy, trying to figure out how it works and the best way to modify it for someone who maybe doesn't have the greatest fine motor control. Some days they're in seminar, learning some physics standards with a teacher. Some days they're at Unity Point, learning from the nurse that they're partnered with. Some days they're with their team, planning out all of the cards and actions they need to execute for the week. This is the way that Iowa Big teaches responsibility and time management to its students. The Iowa Big teachers help scaffold the process of schedule creation throughout the entire year until students can be trusted to manage their own schedules in the afternoon or morning, depending on the session they've signed up for. I hope that these innovations are understandable and exciting to you as you think about joining Iowa Big. If you have any questions, please visit iowabig.org. Have a great year.